The sun of the alien moon was faint and red, casting long shadows across the rocky ground. Ethan Walker adjusted the straps of his exploration suit and checked the scanner on his wrist. The machine beeped softly, picking up strange energy patterns buried beneath the surface. He had been sent here by the Human Alliance to investigate ruins that the satellites had picked up months ago. Most people thought this place was dead, just an empty moon circling a gas giant. But the signals told a different story. As Ethan moved carefully between the jagged cliffs, he felt the silence pressing around him. There was no wind, no sound of birds, no flowing water, just the crunch of his boots on stone. It made him uneasy, but also excited. He had always wanted to be part of something bigger than himself, and maybe today he would finally see it. The scanner blinked brighter as he neared the ruins. Ancient towers carved from black stone rose ahead, their shapes both beautiful and frightening. They were too precise to be natural. Someone or something had built them long ago. Ethan raised his helmet camera and whispered, "Mission log, ruins confirmed. Approaching now." His voice sounded small in the emptiness. He stepped through a massive archway and found himself in what looked like a temple. Symbols glowed faintly on the walls, alive with a strange blue light even after centuries. Ethan's heart pounded. He wanted to touch them, but before he could move, the ground trembled. Figures emerged from the shadows. They were tall, armored in silver and black with glowing visors that hid their faces. Alien soldiers. Ethan froze, lifting his hand slowly to show he carried no weapon. His breath caught inside the helmet. The soldiers spread out, their movements sharp and trained. Their weapons, long spears that pulsed with light, were pointed directly at him. Ethan's mouth went dry. He had read about first contact scenarios, but he never thought he would be standing in the middle of one. Then, from the center of the group, another figure stepped forward. This one moved differently, graceful, commanding, as if the very ground bent to her will. Her armor was elegant, more detailed than the others, lined with golden patterns. The soldiers bowed their heads slightly as she passed. Ethan's heart raced. Whoever she was, she had authority. The figure stopped a few meters away and slowly reached up to her helmet. The soldiers tensed, their weapons steady, but their eyes seemed to wait for her. With a smooth motion, she unlocked the helmet and lifted it off. Ethan forgot to breathe. Her face was unlike anything he had imagined. Her skin shimmered softly under the red light, smooth as crystal, yet warm and alive. Her eyes were large, luminous, reflecting 1,000 colors like the surface of a lake at sunset. Her hair, silver and long, floated lightly as if touched by unseen winds. She was alien, yes, but she was also stunning, with a beauty that seemed to reach beyond shape or species. The word escaped him before he could stop it. "Gorgeous," he whispered. The sound was faint, but in the stillness it carried. The alien soldiers stiffened. Some raised their weapons higher, their stance more threatening. Ethan's stomach dropped. He had not meant to offend, but it was too late. The word was out. But then something unexpected happened. The princess, because Ethan felt certain she must be one, did not strike or turn away. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, studying him with curious eyes. Her lips curved, not into anger, but into something that looked almost like amusement. She raised her hand, and instantly the soldiers lowered their spears. Ethan blinked in surprise. He had been ready for death, yet now she was sparing him. Slowly she stepped closer. He could feel her presence even through his suit, as if the air itself grew alive around her. She spoke, her voice musical but firm. He could not understand the words, but the tone was not hostile. Ethan tapped the side of his helmet, trying to activate the translator device, but the static told him it was broken. He cursed silently. Without it, he could not reply. All he could do was gesture with open hands, showing he meant no harm. The princess studied him for a long moment. Then she pointed toward the glowing symbols on the wall. Her eyes locked on his as if asking him to follow. Ethan hesitated. Was this a trap? But something in her expression told him no. There was curiosity there, maybe even hope. So he nodded, slowly lowering his hands, and took a step in her direction. The soldiers moved instantly, forming a protective circle around her as she led the way deeper into the ruins. Ethan followed, his heart beating wildly. As they walked, he could not help but steal another glance at her. The light from the walls danced across her face, making her seem both ethereal and strong. He thought about the word he had whispered earlier, and heat rushed to his cheeks. Had she understood? Did she know what it meant? The silence between them was heavy but not cold. It was the silence of two worlds meeting, unsure of what came next. They reached a massive chamber at the heart of the ruins. In the center stood a towering structure made of crystal and stone. Energy pulsed through it like a heartbeat. The princess turned to Ethan and touched the surface of the structure gently, almost reverently. She spoke again, her voice echoing softly. Ethan wished desperately for his translator to work. He wanted to know what she was saying, why she had brought him here, what it meant. But even without words, he understood one thing. This was sacred to her people. And somehow, for reasons he could not yet see, she had chosen to show it to him. He stood there quietly, realizing that his life had just changed. The universe had always seemed so vast and empty. But in this moment, as the alien princess looked at him with those luminous eyes, it felt alive with possibility. The soldiers still watched him carefully, ready to strike if he made one wrong move. But Ethan's attention was only on her, the princess, the one who had removed her helmet not to frighten him, but to reveal who she truly was. And though he could not explain why, Ethan felt that this meeting, this moment of fragile connection, was only the beginning of something far greater than he could imagine. The chamber inside the ruins felt alive, glowing softly with ancient energy. Ethan stood quietly as the alien princess Serenia placed her hand on the crystal monument. Her touch caused new patterns of light to spread across its surface, like water ripples after a stone had been thrown. The alien soldiers knelt slightly, their respect obvious. Ethan realized this was not just a monument. It was something holy to them. Serenia turned her head, her silver hair catching the faint blue light. Her luminous eyes focused on Ethan as if searching for something inside him. She spoke again, her words musical but strange to his ears. Ethan tried once more to fix his translator by tapping the side of his helmet, but the device still gave nothing but static. He wanted to reply, to tell her who he was, why he had come, that he meant no harm. But without words, all he could do was act. Slowly, he placed his own hand on the crystal. The surface was cool, and when he touched it, the lights pulsed faster. The soldiers murmured in their own language, clearly unsettled. For a moment, Ethan thought they might attack, but Serenia lifted her hand in command, silencing them. Their eyes met. In that silent exchange, Ethan felt that she had chosen to trust him, at least a little. The silence broke when a sharp sound echoed through the ruins. A device on Serenia's belt flickered with red light. She pressed it and listened. Her face grew serious and she spoke quickly to her guards. Their movements became tense, like a storm building in the air. Ethan did not need a translator to understand. Danger was approaching. Two guards moved toward Ethan, pushing him back, but Serenia raised her hand to stop them. Instead, she stepped forward and touched the broken translator on Ethan's helmet. She frowned, clearly recognizing its function. With a soft sigh, she unclipped a small silver tool from her armor and knelt beside him. Ethan blinked in surprise. A princess working on his equipment. Her hands moved gracefully, but with skill. She opened the side of the translator, adjusted the wiring, and pressed a small crystal into the slot. The static cleared instantly. Ethan heard the hum of the device stabilizing. Then, for the first time, her words came through clearly. "You can hear me now?" Ethan's breath caught. The sound of her voice, clear and melodic, felt unreal. "Yes," he answered softly. "I can hear you." She studied him, her expression calm but curious. "You are human." "I am," Ethan admitted. "My name is Ethan Walker. I didn't mean to disturb your sacred place. I was sent here only to explore." Serenia tilted her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. "My people say humans are careless, weak, hungry for what does not belong to them. Yet you stand here, and you touch the core. It responded to you." Ethan glanced at the glowing monument. "I don't know why it did, but I promise you, I don't want to take it from you. I only want to understand." Her gaze softened, though the soldiers still eyed him with suspicion. "Understand," she repeated, almost tasting the word. "Few in this galaxy want to understand. They only want to own." Before Ethan could answer, the ground trembled again. A distant rumble shook the chamber. One of the guards shouted in their language, pointing to the entrance. More lights flickered in the distance, shapes moving fast, armed and hostile. Serenia's jaw tightened. "They have come for me," she said grimly. "Rival clans. They do not want me to claim the throne." Ethan's heart pounded. He had expected danger, but not like this. "What can I do?" he asked. She looked at him in surprise. "You are only one human. You cannot fight them." Maybe not with strength, Ethan said, his voice steady. But I can still help. For a moment her eyes searched his face, as if trying to decide whether he was foolish or brave. Finally she gave a small nod. Stay close to me. The clash began quickly. Rival soldiers stormed into the ruins, their weapons glowing red. Serenya's guards moved to block them, and the chamber filled with the sound of energy strikes and shouts. Ethan ducked behind a pillar, heart racing. He had no weapon, no armor like theirs. But he had his mind. He looked at the crystal monument. Earlier, when he touched it, it had responded. Maybe he could use it again. He ran to the base, ignoring the chaos around him. Placing both hands on the surface, he concentrated. The monument glowed brighter, and suddenly the floor beneath the invaders cracked open. A hidden mechanism triggered, and shards of stone shot upward, knocking several enemies back. Serenya turned her head in shock, her eyes widening. She shouted a command to her soldiers, who pressed the advantage. Ethan, breathing hard, realized he had activated some kind of defense system left by the builders of the ruins, but the enemy was not finished. One slipped past the guards, rushing straight toward Serenya with his weapon raised. Ethan saw it before anyone else. Without thinking, he sprinted forward and threw himself in front of her. The weapon struck his shoulder, burning through his suit, and pain shot through him like fire. He cried out but held his ground. Using all his strength, he shoved the attacker backward. Serenya's sword flashed in the next moment, striking the enemy down. The chamber grew silent except for Ethan's ragged breathing. He fell to his knees, clutching his wounded shoulder. The pain was sharp, but what hurt more was the thought that he might not be able to finish what he had started. Then gentle hands touched him. Serenya knelt beside him, her eyes wide with something more than shock, concern. She pressed her palm to the wound, and a soft glow spread from her skin, easing the pain. Why? She whispered, her voice trembling. Why would you protect me? You could have run. Ethan forced a weak smile. Because it's what humans do. We protect the people who matter, even when it's dangerous. Serenya stared at him for a long moment, her eyes shimmering with emotion. Then she whispered back, You are not weak, Ethan Walker. You are unlike any human I was told about. The glow from her healing touch grew brighter, and the pain in his shoulder began to fade. Around them, her soldiers gathered, watching in silence. They had seen Ethan risk his life for their princess. Whatever they thought of humans before, their eyes now held something new. Respect. Ethan looked up at Serenya. Despite the pain, he felt calm. Guess we're not so different after all. Her lips curved into the faintest of smiles. Perhaps not. And in that ruined chamber, with danger still echoing in the distance, a bond was formed, fragile but unbreakable, between a human and an alien princess. The ruins were silent again, but the silence was heavy. Smoke drifted in the air from broken crystal panels and scorched stone. Ethan's shoulder still throbbed, though Serenya's healing touch had taken away most of the pain. He sat against the wall, breathing slowly, while her soldiers checked the fallen enemies and secured the chamber. Serenya stood at his side, tall and proud, but her luminous eyes softened when they turned to him. For a moment she was not a princess or a warrior. She was simply someone who had seen courage where she had not expected it. You risked your life for me, she said quietly, her voice carrying more weight than any command. In my world, strength decides honor. Yet you, a human with no armor, no weapon, stood between me and death. Ethan tried to smile despite his exhaustion. That's what we do. Humans may not be the strongest, but we don't back down when it matters. Her gaze lingered on him, searching as though trying to see the truth of his words. At last she nodded. Perhaps that is why the Corps responded to you. Before Ethan could answer, another soldier hurried in, speaking rapidly in their language. Serenya's face hardened. She turned to Ethan. We cannot stay here. More clans are coming. If they learn you are human, they will kill you first to make me appear weak. Ethan struggled to his feet. His shoulder ached, but he refused to stay behind. Then let's go. I won't slow you down. She studied him for a moment and then gave a small, almost reluctant smile. Very well. Stay close. The group left the chamber and moved through the ruins, guided by dim lights from the core. Outside, the red sun was sinking lower, painting the sky in crimson and violet. Their ship waited beyond the cliffs, its sleek silver body glowing faintly. But between the ruins and the ship stood another group of soldiers, more rivals, their weapons ready. Ethan felt his stomach twist. There were too many this time. Serenya's guards raised their blades, but even Ethan could see they were outnumbered. Serenya stepped forward, her voice ringing with authority. This sacred place is mine by right of blood. Leave now or face my wrath." The rival leader laughed, a harsh sound that echoed across the rocks. "You speak of blood, Serenia. But what throne can be held by one who hides behind a human?" His soldiers laughed with him, mocking her. Ethan clenched his fists. He knew this was dangerous, but he also knew what needed to be done. He stepped forward, placing himself beside Serenia. "She doesn't hide behind me," he said loudly, the translator carrying his words into their language. "If anything, I stand with her. Not because of power or crowns, but because she fights for something greater than herself." The rival soldiers murmured, surprised that a human spoke so boldly. The leader sneered. "And what is greater than the throne?" Ethan's voice was steady, though his heart pounded. "Hope, unity, the belief that people can be more than enemies. That's what makes us human. And maybe that's what makes her different too." The words hung in the air. Serenia's eyes widened slightly, not in anger but in wonder. Slowly, she placed her hand on Ethan's uninjured shoulder. "He speaks truth," she declared. "My rule will not be built on fear. It will be built on bonds, even with those my people once despised. And if that makes me unfit in your eyes, then strike me down now." For a long, tense moment, no one moved. The rival leader's sneer faltered. He looked from Serenia to Ethan, then back again. At last he growled a command. His soldiers lowered their weapons, retreating slowly into the shadows. The silence that followed was heavier than any battle. Serenia exhaled, her shoulders relaxing. She turned to Ethan, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then softly she whispered, "You have given me more than protection. You have given me the courage to lead differently." When they finally reached the ship, the guards ushered them inside. The vessel lifted smoothly into the dark sky, leaving the ruins behind. From the windows, Ethan watched the red moon shrink into the distance. Relief washed over him, but also sadness. He did not know if this was the end or the beginning. Inside the ship, Serenia dismissed her soldiers, leaving only Ethan with her in the command chamber. The soft light made her silver hair glow, and for a moment, Ethan remembered the first time he saw her remove her helmet. That single moment had changed everything. "Tell me of your people," she said gently. Ethan hesitated, then spoke of Earth. He told her about blue oceans, green forests, and cities filled with light. He told her about music, laughter, and the way humans created beauty even in dark times. He did not hide their flaws, but he spoke of their resilience, the way they stood up after every fall. Serenia listened, her expression thoughtful. When he finished, she said quietly, "We were told humans were fragile, but now I see you are strong in ways we did not understand." Ethan chuckled softly. "We're stubborn, that's for sure, but maybe that's why we keep going even when the galaxy says we shouldn't." Her lips curved into a small smile. "That stubbornness, I will need it if I am to claim the throne." The ship soon landed on her homeworld, a vast city of towers shining under twin moons. Soldiers and nobles gathered as Serenia stepped out with Ethan at her side. Gasps rose from the crowd, shock at seeing a human standing beside their princess. Serenia raised her hand, her voice ringing clear. "This is Ethan Walker of Earth. He risked his life to protect me, not for power, not for reward, but because it was right. Humanity is no longer forgotten. From this day forward, they are not outsiders, they are our allies." The crowd murmured, their disbelief giving way to respect. The image of their princess standing proudly with a human would not be forgotten. Later, when the ceremony ended and the stars filled the sky, Ethan stood on the balcony of the palace. Serenia joined him, her silver hair flowing in the night breeze. "You changed everything today," she said softly. Ethan shook his head. "No, you did. You chose to see us differently. You chose to believe." Her eyes met his, glowing like twin galaxies. "Perhaps, but it was your spark that lit the path." For a long moment they stood in silence, two figures from different worlds bound by something greater than politics or war. A whisper, a choice, a bond. And as Ethan looked at her, he remembered the first word he had spoken when their eyes met. It had not been a mistake, not a foolish reaction. It had been the truth. "Gorgeous," he whispered again, this time without fear. Serenia smiled, not as a princess but as someone who understood. And under the twin moons of her world, humanity's place among the stars began with a whisper and a promise of unity.